Peace, everybody. This is Kashin with the Fortified Fitness and Strength channel. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes to either come back to the channel or stop by for the very first time. Just a quick background on me as you're watching me getting into some of these lifts and the topic we're going to be dealing with today. My favorite hobby for the last 16 years has been picking up heavy stuff in the gym. I've been competing in powerlifting for 12 years now, and I'm also a coach and referee in the sport. 43 years old. I'll be 44 in just a couple of months. And in the last few months of my training, I've been experimenting with more high-intensity techniques and less frequent training, trying to see if that'll help drive some results as far as muscle gain. And so far, it's worked well, and I think I've actually seen some carryover in the last couple of weeks in terms of strength gains. My numbers are going up on some of the key lifts also. Now, if you're in my age group watching this video or close to my age group, either a little younger or a little older, then I want to make sure that when I'm talking about high intensity, you're not freaked out by it, because there's a tendency for people to have this mindset or to be told as we get older, the older you get, you got to take it easy. The older you get, you got to start scaling back. There are commercials on TV and radio and probably popping up, maybe even on this video, I don't know, advertising products for particularly men over 40, with these warnings that, at the age of 40, everything starts falling apart, your testosterone starts to drop, and pretty much you're a shell of your former self. Now, obviously, there is a such thing as an aging process, but getting older doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take it easy or should. There's a universal law of use or abuse, as I've heard it taught, and most of us have heard it this way, just simply put, you either use it or lose it. Well, that's true with our bodies. That's true with our muscle mass. That's true with our bones and bone density. It's true with our strength. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And as we get older, the way that we fight the decline in testosterone, one of the ways, I won't say it's the only way, one of the ways we fight the decline in testosterone and just everything else that happens with aging is by ramping up the intensity of the work we do in the gym. Now, in terms of intensity, let me clarify what I mean by that, because often in discussions like this, intensity is one of three variables in training that are discussed right with one another, because they're all variables that affect how our training gets programmed. That's intensity, volume, and frequency. And in that context, intensity is generally referring to how heavy something is, or the percentage of a rep maximum, percentage of your 1 rep max in most cases, is what is being referred to when we're talking about intensity. But what I mean here is intensity in terms of effort, meaning taking work sets to failure. Now, as I've said in the previous video, if you're going to be training infrequently, like I do right now, twice per week, work sets have to be taken to failure. That's the only way to drive the stimulus needed to promote growth and gains. If you train more frequently just because you enjoy it or you have the time to, I would train more frequently if I had the time to. You just in the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, you still should take, I believe, at least some of your work sets to train to failure, but not all of them. If you're training that frequently, hitting muscle groups 3 or more times a week, you probably do not need to take as many sets to failure, but you should at least take some of them. And if you like, we can get into that in more detail in another video. Just let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd like to have me cover in another video. One caveat or exception to that is if you are a novice lifter, you're a beginner in the gym, or you have been gone for a long time, then I would not come back to the gym or start with taking sets to failure. And I could probably do a whole video on that. Side note, video ideas. I know this channel is really just starting, just growing, but if you've seen anything that I've covered and you have any ideas for a spin-off video or any questions you think would make a good video, please drop them in the comments. It would be a great help, and I'd really love the feedback from you. I appreciate that in advance. But anyway, back to that, off of that tangent. If you're new to this or getting familiar with it again, don't hop into training to failure right away. Need a base of strength and base of conditioning and just getting used to the movement pattern. I think you can do that without adding the layer of added intensity by going to failure. It's intense enough to drive gains because your body's not used to whatever you're doing. So you don't need training to failure in order to drive gains and progress in that situation. Whatever situation you find yourself in, a beginner through advanced, the older we get, the more important it is to push ourselves in the gym. Now, aside from the point I was making earlier about taking sets to failure, there are other ways that we can make sure that we push ourselves. Obviously, some of them are pretty common. On given exercises, you do the same amount of reps with more weight from one session to the next if you can. Obviously, that will stop at a certain point. Or you do more reps with the same amount of weight. Again, that's going to stop at a certain point. Otherwise, at some point, we would all just go indefinitely and be squatting 1,000 pounds for 25 reps each. But that obviously never happened. Another way is to manage your workload. You can do, as you can see these deadlifts, how I hit that watch, I'm actually doing these on the clock. You could try to do the same amount of workload, same reps, same weight, but do it in less time from one session to the next. But these are just some of my thoughts on it. If you would, why don't you leave some of yours in the comments? Let me know what you think, any ideas or methods that you have for driving up the intensity of your training sessions. Also, again, any suggestions you have for future videos, any questions, what have you, please leave it in the comments. I'd love to be able to respond to your feedback either in the comments or in a future video. If you made it this far, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes to watch this video. Please click that like button. That would help us out a great deal. I'm trying to grow this channel and would love your support in doing so. Also, if you want to stay up to date with new uploads, please click the subscribe button and also make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of any future uploads, including the final video in this series coming up next, in which I'll be going over exercises to avoid taking to failure for safety reasons. So once again, thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.